In the world of art theft, something that we don't often discuss is photography. And this is a situation involving a photographer and multiple artists. So before we get into this again, please don't send hate to any parties involved. First off, this is posted by Keen K. Burke. Their name is Kevin Burke. So Kevin writes, this person goes around painting the work of photographers and sells them, calling them original paintings. No mention of the source. Disgusting behavior. This is a photo that Kevin took and posted on Valentine's Day with 1.1K likes in New York. This is beautiful. And here we have an artist, Adriana, who painted that photograph, titling Sold. Brooklyn Bridge Walk, New York has officially found its new home. Here is another photograph. And this is like a photo dump posted by Kevin. But this is two people walking in New York City under an umbrella. Another painting of the same photograph by them. 50 cm by 60 cm acrylic on canvas, original painting available. See link in bio. Where they claim that they do original paintings. So somebody in the comments is trying to defend the artist. They're adding, I disagree wholeheartedly. An artist reinterpreting an image in a different medium and context is not theft at all. It's transformative. Painters have used photographs as references for decades. I understand the shock of seeing your work influence another work, but influence and reinterpretation are part of how our art evolves. I'd understand if the painting was hyper-realistic, but it is not. It's impressionistic. I've had people use my work as reference, and I think of it just as an artist inspired. I'm just curious, like by this logic, if you take the painting and you take a picture of the painting hung up on a wall, you back up a little bit, so it's hung up on the wall, and then it's like transformative, right? Because like you interpreted it through a different medium through the lens of photography. Is that then okay? Sorry, just playing devil's advocate. And another user adds, somebody clearly misunderstood the purpose of using photos as references for paintings, drawings, and illustrations. Tip to new artists. You're not supposed to straight up copy everything from one photo. And if you fall in love with a photo so much you must simply paint it, then at least have the professionalism to credit the OG photographer. Another person added, an artist once did this with a self-portrait of mine. Then another artist created a product and credited the artist, but not me. These people are leeches. I feel like this is the thing as well, because if you're not a photographer, you probably don't understand all the time and effort and beauty and everything that goes into photography. A lot of people just think you just grab a camera or your phone, hit the shutter button, boop, and then that's it, you're all good. There's a lot more into photography, and I'll be honest, I didn't fully understand the depth of photography until trying it myself. Now, I am an absolute noob, right? But there's a lot of time and effort and beauty that comes into photography, right? I don't know Kevin. I don't know how the process of this photograph, but I'm sure Kevin had to sit here or camp out in the rain or, in this cold weather in New York, find the perfect angle to take this shot, right? The way everything is lined up perfectly, right? We have the leading line of the white stripe in the middle, cutting through our two people walking, leading off into the distance into the bridge, right? It literally drives the viewer's eye from the corner of the painting all the way inwards. This framing is beautiful for the painting. And then in the distance, we have all of the New York skyline kind of cast in fog and clouds, right? This composition of this photograph didn't come out of nowhere. I'm sure it took Kevin a lot of like rearranging. Let me stand here. Let me stand here. Let me crouch down a little bit, get up, so that he can frame the photograph in a way to purposely capture the vision of a couple walking through the bridge. And I'm sure Kevin probably took a bajillion photos, and this was the one that through his expertise he selected as the best photograph of the set to then color grade, because it doesn't look like this straight out of your camera. Okay, photographers put their pictures into a software like Lightroom and then they color grade. They tweak all of the colors. By the way, you can change everything. Okay, you could make the sky green if you wanted to in Lightroom. It's beautiful. But all of these colors, the brightness of the lights, the softness of the fog, did that look like that out of the camera? A lot of that probably was through Kevin's post-processing work in Lightroom. Basically, I'm harping, but what I'm going to say is that to the untrained eye, it might look as just a quick snap of a shutter, but there's a lot of beauty and intentionality that a photographer puts into making a piece look the way it is, which is why, if it's completely replicated one-to-one and then sold for profits, I don't really think you can just pull the, oh, it's just a transformative thing, because, well, one, no credit was given to the original, right, Kevin, but two, your piece has so much influence from another artist, another creative, a photographer, with no credit given. I mean, same thing through this, right? This cityscape, Kevin must have stood here, waited for the perfect moment, color graded this afterwards to make all the lights bright orange and glowy. This composition again, where we have the skyline right in the middle, the leading lines leading your eyes straight to the couple walking down the sidewalk. That doesn't happen by accident. Another person adds, submit copyright claims. This is theft. And Kevin adds, it's worse than theft because they're charging $1,700. Oh my goodness. Dude, man, if you're gonna repaint somebody else's photograph, sell it for 1,700. At least have the audacity to give credit to the original photograph you referenced. No credit, and you're trying to make two bands off of this. I do want to add though, some people were saying it's AI. It's not AI. This person does hand paint their pieces, which, like, again, to give credit where credit is due, yeah, you did hand paint it. You hand painted Kevin's photo though. I don't know about this piece specifically, but I'm just talking about the other ones. So Kevin adds a follow-up writing, she's only sorry she got caught. The painter thief got caught copying my photos one-to-one and making a business out of it and decided to email me after people started getting on her in the comments on her posts. This is no misunderstanding. She claimed these were her original work, her original ideas in her captions. She misled the people who bought her paintings. This is unacceptable. I don't know why there's like two versions of the screenshot, one with a bunch of white circles and then one that doesn't have it, so I'll just read the one without it. But she basically says, "Hi, Kevin, I'm Adriana, and I'm reaching out because I think there's a misunderstanding. I'm a long-time admirer of your work. In fact, I even commented on your stunning photo of the New York skyline with a couple getting engaged just yesterday. I was so inspired by another one of your compositions that I created a piece by it. In the process of gathering various references, I unfortunately lost track of the original source for that specific piece and didn't realize it was yours until today." Wait, but then like I'm just confused because like I feel like this is maybe contradictory. Maybe you could get a little confused, right? But if you were a longtime admirer and follower of Kevin's work, how'd you not know? But maybe you lost it. It was never my intention to use your vision without credit. I've now updated my Instagram caption to officially credit you as the photographer and inspo for the painting. I truly admire your eye for New York City, and I'm sorry for the oversight. And another user adds, "Oh, she's been at this for a minute. I had to go look. I'm so happy you blocked her. Quote, I unfortunately lost track of the original source," end quote. You mean the photo you're holding in your hand in the video? And I'm willing to bet she credits none of the photographers. Mind you, her painting's going for $600 plus a pop, and yours nearly 2 grand. Are you kidding me? And not even an ounce of reference in the long description of her unique interpretation. Here's a painting. Here's the photo in hand. Again, this one, $1,700. And then about the artwork. This is an essay. This is a 5-paragraph MLA format essay, okay? It's an original, one-of-a-kind palette knife acrylic on stretched canvas. Vibrant in color and texture painting was inspired by the streets of New York at night with the Empire State Building, an iconic landmark. Rainy nights transformed the streets, blah, 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 yellow cabs. Each painting is my unique interpretation of the scene I wanted to capture. Like, colors I chose are mainly different shades of green, blue, purple, and brown with accents of vibrant, blah, 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 blah. This is why it's deceptive, okay? Because, like, maybe there's room for forgiveness if this is an artist who maybe doesn't understand that, hey man, shouldn't one-to-one reference a photograph for profit and sell it for a couple bands with also zero credit to the original photographer, but it's because everything is described as if it was completely unique and original to her. This is an original one of a kind. It's based off a photograph. Massive paragraph about how you came up with the concept. This makes it look like you put everything together. It makes it look like you went and took the picture and then painted off the photo, or that you set up an easel and canvas on the bridge and painted live there. It's deceptive. This was also a post she put to her story, writing, "To my community, I'm aware of some recent comments regarding my creative process. I want to clarify that, like many artists, I often use reference photography to inform the composition, lighting, and anatomy of my paintings. My goal is always to create a unique, hand-painted piece of art inspired by the world around me. I take my integrity as an artist seriously and value the support of my followers and customers. I am currently addressing the targeted harassment and false claims being spread across my platforms." There's an update, okay? Kevin writes, "Imagine somebody stealing your creation, then threatening you when they get called out for it. I had to do a follow-up on this. This painter has been using my photos to create her paintings, not as inspirations or references, but blatantly recreating my photos." And again, this is the thing, right? This isn't just like a reference, like Kevin's photo was one of 20 that was looked at, right? Because it's literally the same photo. It's the same thing. So the artist then says a formal notice to cease and desist. I love also how Kevin's just posting all of this. Like, none of this is happening behind the scenes where, you know, she's like up in the emails and quiet. Like, Kevin's like, dude, take a look at this, man. And she's like, "Dear Kevin, this notice is regarding your recent posts and comments across social medias, where you publicly referred to me as a thief and accused me of stealing works. These statements are false, defamatory, and causing direct harm to my professional reputation and my business. While I use reference photos to create original inspired paintings, your targeted campaigns to harass me and discourage my customers constitutes libel and tortious interference with my business. I demand you remove all defamatory posts, comments, and reviews regarding my business, and two, cease making any further false claims in contact with my followers. I've documented all instances of this harassment, and if this doesn't stop, I'll pursue more legal info. Well, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney. Don't take what I say with a grain of salt. But if you are to try to sue for defamation in the US, you have to prove two things: that one, the statements Kevin made hurt your business, and two, that Kevin's statements are false. You might have a hard time proving the false part. I'm gonna be honest. This is not gonna be a winning case in court, in my opinion, as a YouTuber and not as an attorney. Again, you're gonna have a hard time arguing the falsehood of this, in my humble opinion. Another commenter adds, every single painter I know that uses a reference photo either takes the shot themselves or get permission from the photographer beforehand. A copy is a copy, and changing the medium doesn't change that. Referring to it as unique or original is laughable, since in fine art, photography, and painting use the same language. So another person is arguing the copyright law for this, and a commenter adds, the fact that she's done this to more than one of the OP's posted photographs without permission, the case could be made, and it could be considered derivative due to copying composition and all other elements. Technically, the only thing she changed about the picture itself was the medium. And the bigger issue is, with her talent, she doesn't need to copy somebody else's photograph. Changing the clothing or using dawn lighting instead of evening, that would be the 20%. And another commenter adds, this is similar to the AP or Associated Press versus Shepard Fairey case that centered on intellectual property. Basically, it's about this, where an Associated Press photographer by the name of Manny Garcia took this photo of Obama, and then Fairey interpreted that into this poster, which is a literal one-to-one direct recreation of this photograph, basically. And essentially, the argument was Ferry was like, oh, it's like transformative, I changed it. And AP was like, no, because you like literally one-to-one referenced this photograph and just illustrated over it. There was a lawsuit and a counter lawsuit, and it was actually settled. Both sides basically said that they did nothing wrong, but they agreed to work together moving forward, and Ferry agreed that they would not use any more AP photographs in their work. There's already kind of a precedent about that. But another person adds, the photos, Kevin's photos, are actually totally watermarked in several places, but that somehow didn't trigger anything in her head. Because yes, in case you missed it, there's a watermark here, there's a watermark here, there's a watermark down his back, there's a watermark on her, there's a watermark over here, there's a watermark on the building, there's a watermark in the sky, watermark at the corner, watermark on the ground. Did I say that one? This one? Oh, this one and one on the building. Oh my gosh. Wait, hold on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Haha. Sorry. 8, 9, 10, 11. I counted 11 watermarks in here. There might be more. You at least had to see this one. Come on. Somebody was accusing Kevin of his work being AI, which Kevin has all the details about this. Most definitely not AI generated. Copyright Kevin. In the midst of all of this, another situation arose. Kevin posted another painter who's been using my photos to create their paintings and sell them without my permission. She claims they're all her original creations, but they are not. I found out she was repainting my photos back in 2022, so I blocked her right away. I had no idea she was painting them to sell them. Here's Kevin's photo of the New York skyline, repainted. I just want to add, some people in the comments were like, how do you know she painted Kevin's photo specifically? Look at this one. Just look at the cropping of this photo, okay? The slight left edge is cropped out. There's a large glow on this one building from the way the sun is hitting it specifically. The cropping is the exact same. The buildings are slightly cropped off here. You see that glow on that building. Other people were basically like, well, it's not your photo because like a lot of other people have New York skyline photos like this. And like, sure, everybody who visits New York takes a skyline picture. But then, you know, it always comes to stuff like this. A commenter adds, she even says her work was inspired by her travels. But that isn't true because the painter literally admitted in this post to referencing photos, referencing Keen or Kevin Burke's pictures. They add, as a beginner artist, I use reference photos on Pinterest to learn, not realizing copyright rules. Back then, photos were often reposted without credit, so it was hard to find the original author. I did change the composition, but it was still quite similar. I was contacted at the time and I apologize sincerely. And then Keen adds, she's claiming they're original paintings, then she started spreading lies about me today. She claims she didn't even know it was my pictures. So here you can see Diana had commented on one of Kevin's posts. Hey Kevin or Keen, I love all your photos. I follow you for a while and probably one of them inspired me to create a little painting. I hope you don't mind, heart. Which is like interesting to retroactively ask for permission. And another user says, she painted the most generic angle of a famous city. Go find a fainting couch, will ya? And then Kevin says, generic like these? This is a painting. It is a New York yellow cab with a lady with like a hat trying to get into it. You can see it's Christmas time. There's a wreath in the window. And it says, the original 9 by 8-inch oil painting captures a vibrant Manhattan cityscape during the festive Christmas season. Sure, I guess she changed the person to a woman. It's also referencing Kevin's photo again. And Kevin adds, the painter who's been using my photos to create her paintings to sell claims she didn't know the photo was mine. She claims she only used them as a reference as she found them on Pinterest. She's been spreading lies about me today, so here are the screenshots. She was following me until I blocked her when I found out what she was doing with my pictures. She's now trying to play the innocent victim. Which, like, why is everybody ever's answer, oh, I found it on Pinterest. They sell their paintings anywhere from like a couple hundred to a grand plus. Hi. But we have some people that are again kind of like confused about the etiquettes of photography and painting. And this painter asks, hi, I'm an artist who uses photographs as references for drawings and compositions for myself. I was not aware we had to reference the source photographers. I do write down the name of an artist if I'm directly copying their art style because I think it is their style and they made it up. But I wasn't aware this is a thing that people do with photographs. Is this super common? Is it new? I'm truly trying to learn and be respectful with my art to other artists. Thanks. And I think this is a completely fair and valid question if you're a new artist trying to figure things out, you know? I also do want to add that again with like photographs, a lot of people don't give photographs the credit that it deserves because a lot of people, again, if you're not a photographer, you're just kind of like, oh, just press a shutter button. There's a lot more that goes into it. Color grading is an art form in itself. And every photographer also has their own color grading art style. Like some photographers really, really favor this one specific like color palette, these specific color values. They will always desaturate, whatever. It doesn't mean that photographer specifically owns those colors or this contrast value, but it is part of their style. And it is their creative influence going into the work. And it's often overlooked. The OP also adds, hey, going back into his work, he has watermarks all over it. So it's logical to assume this guy wants and deserves credit. I'm just trying to learn the nuances. Also, I'm not making any money off my drawings or paintings. I just do it for fun. Another commenter says, you're directly stealing somebody else's ideas. It would be like creating a Disney-inspired piece of art. Disney will still come after you as it's their IP, despite what some people will say about inspired works. Another commenter adds, that is if you're doing it for commercial gain. If OP is using a reference photo for painting practice and not selling it, that would be considered fair use. And a photographer adds, hi, I can help clear this up. I am a photographer, and it's not always transparent in the art space. A painting based on a photograph without the photographer's permission is generally considered copyright infringement, as the painting is a derivative work of the original photograph. In this case, even the subjects are identical. Photographs are automatically protected by copyright the moment they're taken, regardless of whether they're posted online or if they have a copyright symbol. Photography is another medium of art, and using a photograph to directly copy in your own style without credit is considered copyright infringement. So here, copyright.gov, the US copyright website, you should know that copyright protection exists from the moment an original artist is fixed in a tangible medium. It highlights photography can also be protected by copyright. So it highlights, for photographers, fixation occurs when you take a picture. You don't need to do anything else at all for your work to be protected by copyright. So yes, pressing the shutter button automatically means that photo of yours is copyrighted. Another person quote retweeted it writing, it's absolutely imperative you make sure any reference you use for artwork that you're selling is royalty-free or in the public domain. You can't just find a random photograph on Instagram and paint it and sell it without explicit permission. You need to have a commercial license for any photo you paint and sell. So that is generally the gist of it. If you're a photographer, I would love to know in the comment section below. I definitely feel like in a lot of places, people undervalue it as just pressing the shutter button when there's a lot more that goes into it beyond just that. And I'm curious about your thoughts on this whole situation. I hope Kevin gets the resolution that he deems the most fair for his work because all of this happening is completely unfair. And he's also getting a lot of flack on social media. People are saying, it's not your work. You can't complain about this when there literally is like a legal precedent for this. And his work is copyrighted. And people are taking his copyrighted stuff and making derivative things of it and selling it for profit. Couple bands of profit, in fact. Although the amount of money you're selling it for doesn't really change anything. It just makes it feel a little bit more egregious that it's couple thousand, Yeah, I'll have Kevin linked down below if you would love to go and check out his work because his photography is beautiful. And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. Also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. or Thursdays at 7:30. Hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.